Here's our blower assembly. I've cleaned it up a little bit. And here's the shaft. Now I want to reuse this shaft. Now obviously I can't put a bushing, a bronze bushing, up against this. That's not going to work. The other end's not too bad. But I'm going to have to come up with something else. Here's what I come up with. This is a ball bearing that I'm actually going to put inside there. Now that's not quite so simple as it might seem, because you see it doesn't just pop in there. Well, I've done this in a number of old blowers, and this is kind of the El Cheapo blower here. It's a spot welded in. In fact, one of the arms on it broke off, and I had to put a bolt through it right here when I was taking it apart. But I'm going to split this. This is all spot welded together. I'm going to split one of these apart so we can actually open it up. I'll probably split this one because this one's already loose. And we'll see if we can get that bearing in there. Well, you can see far easier than it should have. It just pretty much popped off with a few whacks. Didn't hardly even get started, so I didn't have the camera going. I put the screwdriver in there. Yes, it's not a chisel, it's a screwdriver. And popped it a couple times and it came loose. So, now all I got to do is take this loose, and I pretty much can have my way with this thing. So let's see how this works. All right, with some fairly heavy massage work, I've actually got that in there. Now, a couple things I got to do is I've taken this bolt out where that spot weld broke. I'll put that screw back in there. Okay, now if you'll notice, there's holes here, because many of these things, when they came from the factory, actually had a bolt through there. That's kind of the way I figured out how to do this. This was, like I said, kind of the El Cheapo blower, and so it didn't have that. However, I can just get a bolt and put it in here. Okay, even got a lock nut on it. Now, it's in there, ready to put together. Now the shaft, now look at that shaft, where there were no flats cut, and the blower itself, the blower wheel was mounted there, and they were just run the set screws into the shaft. Kind of sloppy work. And so I went ahead and filed this off to make flats on the shaft. When it tightens down, it won't jam. Now, it didn't jam too bad when I first took it off, but it is kind of sloppy work. So hopefully I've fixed that. Now I'm going to put this thing back in and we'll see how it fits. Note I've also extended the flat that was cut into the shaft here a bit into the bearing, so that the set screw, I'm not going to put both set screws on it. I'm not going to tighten both of them down, but I am going to tighten the one down, so I made a flat for it there. Okay. I pretty much got that thing in. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down and tighten the shaft onto the blower wheel and put the pulley back on, and let's see how it works. Okay, all I need now is to get the set screw tightened up. And this one I'm just going to snug a little bit, because there is no flat, and I guess I'm just too lazy to put a flat in there. Okay, we're ready to adjust this blower wheel. I'm going to tell you how we set it up. Now I want this thing centered between here and here, and you know, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but it sure be nice if it was pretty close. Okay, that's about right there. All I'm going to do here is I put it on the flat that I put on that shaft, and I'm going to tighten it up. Doing the same on the other side. Now you notice I have not replaced the bearing in this side. Mostly that's because I'm cheap. And this is just a test mule anyway. I'm not actually going to use this for anything. I'm just showing you how to do it. I'm going to put the original bearing back in there. It was actually good. There was nothing wrong with it. And then I'm going to put the pulley on the other side and we'll get this thing set up. Okay. Put a little washer doohickey in there. Get my clip in there. Okay, got the clip in, set screws tight. There's 2 set screws on it, got both of them tight. Now we're going to put the pulley back on this thing. Now we got a couple of thrust washers to go on here. Got our happy little pulley, which I'm not very thrilled with because it's made of aluminum. I'm going to pull one of the thrust washers off because I'm not real thrilled with the way this pulley's set up anyway. It doesn't come all the way out. And these boys really should, especially with this aluminum. But that's about as close as I'm going to get and still make it work. I've got the key on the other side to hold it. Okay, all I got to do is mount the motor, make sure I'm lined up. Be sure I got a good smooth blower wheel, not rubbing on anything. Let's see if it's going to work. Okay, I'm going to line these up. You're not going to be able to see this perfectly, but all I'm doing, I'm using a square. You can use any sort of straight edge, and it has to have contact both sides of this pulley and both sides of that pulley, as long as the bosses are about the same on the edges here. And so this is lined up pretty much right on the money. I'm going to put the belt on it and lock her down and go for it. Okay, here we're all set up, ready to go. Okay, here we go. Life is good, everything's lined up. Belt's in good shape. Okay, you can see there's no wobble to it, anything. Looking good. Should be good for many more years of service. The only argument I'd have, as I said in an earlier video, I'm not very thrilled with the aluminum pulleys, both the driver and driven. But other than that, she's off and running. And should work for many years. I know I didn't replace both bearings. I would replace both bearings if I were you. If you're going to do it, you might as well do both. I'm just being cheap because this is a test mule. That's it on this one.